Hi, greetings in the name of Jesus Christ. My name is Miriam, and I'll be reading to you tonight from the book of 2nd Esdras. When I had finished speaking these words, the angel who was sent to me on the former nights was sent to me again. And he said to me, "Rise, Ezra, and listen to the words that I have come to speak to you." And I said, "Speak, my Lord." And he said to me, "There is a sea set in a wide expanse, so that it is broad and vast. But it has an entrance set in a narrow place, so that it is like a river. If anyone then wishes to reach the sea, to look at it or to navigate it, how can he come to the broad part unless he passes through the narrow?" Another example, there's a city built and set on a plain, and it is full of all good things, but the entrance to it is narrow and set in a precipitous place, so that there is fire on the right hand and deep water on the left. And there is only one path lying between them. That is, between the fire and the water, so that only one man can walk upon that path. If now that city is given to a man for an inheritance, how will the heir receive his inheritance unless he passes through the dangers set before him? I said, "He cannot, Lord." And he said to me, "So also is Israel's portion. For I made the world for their sake, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, what had been made was judged. And on the entrances of this world were made narrow and sorrowful and toilsome. They are few and evil, full of dangers and involved in great hardships. But the entrances of the greater world are broad and safe, and really yield the fruit of immortality." Amen. Therefore, lest the living pass through the difficult and vain experiences, they can never receive those things that have been reserved for them. But now why are you disturbed, seeing that you are mortal? And why have you not considered in your mind what is to come rather than what is now present? And then I answered and said, "O sovereign Lord, behold, thou hast ordained thy law, that the righteous shall inherit these things, but that the ungodly shall perish." Amen. The righteous, therefore, can endure difficult circumstances while hoping for easier ones. But those who have done wickedly have suffered the difficult circumstances and will not see the easier ones. And he said to me, "You are not a better judge than God, or wiser than the Most High. Let many perish who are now living, rather than that the law of God which is set before them be disregarded. For God strictly commanded those who came into the world, when they came, what they should do to live, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. Nevertheless, they were not obedient and spoke against him. They devised for themselves vain thoughts and proposed themselves wicked frauds. They even declared that the Most High does not exist, and they ignored his ways." Sound familiar? They scorned his law and denied his covenants. They have been unfaithful in his statutes and have not performed his works. Therefore, Ezra, empty things are for the empty, and full things are for the full. For behold, the time will come when the signs which I have foretold to you will come to pass, that the city which now is not seen shall appear, and the land which now is hidden shall be disclosed. And everyone who has been delivered from the evils that I have foretold shall see my wonders. I'm sorry, but that hurts my eyes. I can't do it like that, even though I know you want to read it. Just close your eyes and listen. I really show you the page so that you know I'm not making it up. For my Son, the Messiah, shall be revealed with those who are with him, and those who remain shall rejoice 400 years. And then, after these years, my Son, the Messiah, shall die, and all who draw human breath. I haven't heard that prophecy before. And the world shall be turned back to primeval silence for 7 days, as it was at the first beginning, so that no one shall be left. And after 7 days the world which is not yet awake shall be roused. And that which is corruptible shall perish, and the earth shall give up those who are asleep in it. And the dust who... Okay, so in Revelation it says 1,000 years, and here it says 400. But we know he already died. There's not going to be any more death. But what happened is the Catholic Church got hold of this book, and I'm sure that they edited it to make it seem as if Yeshua, Jesus, had already died. In fact, I'm sure. I know that's what happened, because that's what's happened to our Bible too. A lot of changes. No wolf ever laid down with a lamb. It was always a lion. Okay. An unrighteous deed shall not sleep, and the pit of torment shall appear, and opposite shall be the place of rest, and the furnace of hell shall be disclosed, and opposite the paradise of delight. Now, I did notice right here, it's popping out at me, and I didn't stop last night when words were popping out at me, and I'm going to stop here. The furnace of hell shall be disclosed. We'll be able to see it. And then remember on the previous page it said that heaven would be disclosed also. We'll be able to see them in the sky. You know? These are the things that they're hiding from us. The furnace of hell shall be disclosed, and opposite the paradise of delight. Then the Most High will say to the nations that have been raised from the dead, look now and understand whom you've denied, whom you've not served, whose commandments you've despised. Look on this side and on that. Here are delight and rest, and there are fire and torments. And then thus he will speak to them on the day of judgment, a day that has no sun, no moon, and no stars, or cloud, or thunder, or lightning, or wind, or air, or water, or darkness, or evening, or morning, or summer, or spring, or heat, or winter, frost, cold, hail, or rain, or dew, or noon, or night, or dawn, or shining, or brightness, or light, but only the splendor of the glory most high, by which all shall see what has been determined for them, for it will last about a week of years. Now that's back to what Revelation said, 7 years. This is my judgment, and it is prescribed order, and to you alone have I shown these things. I answered and said, O sovereign Lord, I said then, and I say now, blessed are those who are alive and keep thy commandments. Amen. But what of those for whom I prayed? For who among the living is there that has not sinned? Or who among men that has not transgressed thy covenant? And now see that the world to come will bring delight to few, but torments to many. For an evil heart has grown up in us, which has alienated us from God, and has brought us into corruption and the ways of death, and has shown us the paths of perdition, and removed us far from life, and that not just a few of us, but almost all who have been created. He answered me and said, "Listen to me, Ezra. I will instruct you and will admonish you yet again. For this reason the Most High has made not one world but two. For whereas you have said that the righteous are not many but few, while the ungodly abound, hear the explanation for this. If you have just a few precious stones, will you add to them lead and clay?" I said, "Lord, how could that be?" And he said to me, "Not only that, but ask the earth, and she will tell you. Defer to her, and she will declare it to you. Say to her, you produce gold and silver and brass, and also iron and lead and clay. But silver is more abundant than gold, and brass than abundant than silver, and iron than brass, and lead than iron, and clay than lead. Judge therefore which things are precious and desirable, those that are abundant or those that are rare." I said, "Oh, sovereign Lord, what is plentiful is of less worth, for what is more rare is more precious." Amen. He answered me and said, "Weigh within yourself what you have thought, for he who has what is hard to get rejoices more than he who has what is plentiful." Amen. So also will be the judgment which I have promised, for I will rejoice over the few who shall be saved, because it is they who have made my glory to prevail now, and through them my name has now been honored. Amen. I will not grieve over the multitude of those who perish, for it is they who are now like a mist, and who are similar to a flame and a smoke. They are set on fire and burn hotly, and are extinguished. I replied and said, "O earth, what have you brought forth if the mind is made out of the dust like other created things? For it would have been better if the dust itself had not been born, so that the mind might not have been made from it. But now the mind grows with us, and therefore we are tormented." These pages never want to lay flat. Okay. Therefore we are tormented, because we perish and know it. We perish and know it. Verse 65, "Let the human race lament, let the beasts of the field be glad. Let all who have been born lament, let the four-footed beasts and the flocks who have been born lament, but let them rejoice." Forgive me. It's after midnight again. You know me, the night owl. But I'm a good owl. Not from Molech. No, thank you, please. Or Lilith. I'm an Eve. For it is much better with them than with us, for they do not look for a judgment. It's talking about animals. Nor do they know of any torment or salvation promised to them after death. For what does it profit us that we shall be that we shall be preserved alive, but cruelly tormented? And for all who have been born are involved in iniquities, and are full of sins and burdened with transgressions. You know, it would really help me if I flip this camera around, because I honestly cannot see the page. Greetings in the name of Jesus. I don't have my head covering on, but my hair is definitely not the normal color. So I think we're covered. For all who have been born are involved in iniquities and are full of sins and burdened with transgressions. And if we were not to come into judgment after death, perhaps it would have been better for us. He answered me and said, when the Most High made the world and Adam and all who have come from him, he first prepared the judgment and all the things that pertain to judgment. Let me see if I can get that glare off. No, because then I can't see the paper. There, that's better. For all who have been born are involved in iniquities and are full of sins and burdened with transgressions. And if we were not to come into judgment after death, perhaps it would have been better for us. He answered me and said, perhaps it would have been better for us. No, that's not what he said. He said, when the Most High made the world and Adam and all who have come from him, he first prepared the judgment and all things that pertain to the judgment. And now understand from your own words, for you have said that the mind grows with us. For this reason, therefore, those who dwell on earth shall be tormented, because though they had understanding, they committed iniquity, and though they received the commandments, they did not keep them. And though they obtained the law, they dealt unfaithfully with what they received. See, we take everything for granted is what I'm thinking. Hold on. We do. Everything good in this world comes from God. Whether it's a drink of water on a hot day, or the smile of a baby, or a sunrise, none of that is in hell. We need to pray for this world. Even our enemies. And hell is not any place for humans. Oh, let me see if I can find my place. And though they obtained the law, they dealt unfaithfully with what they received. That reminds me of the talents. You remember the parable of the talents? You know, and one servant goes and he buries them, and another servant, another servant invests it and comes back with like double what he was originally entrusted with. You know, what are we doing with our talents? Though they obtained the law, they dealt unfaithfully with what they received. We need to count our blessings. We need to really, really understand just how blessed we are. Even though life is so hard, we're still blessed. It's better than hell. What then will they have to say in the judgment, or how will they answer in the last times? For how long the time is that the Most High has been patient with those who inhabit the world. How long the time is that the Most High has been patient with those who inhabit the world, not for their sake, but because of the times which he has foreordained. We don't realize what he has planned for us. And I answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O Yahuwah, show this also to thy servant, whether after death, as soon as every one of us yields up his soul, we shall be kept in rest until those times come, thou wilt renew the creation, or whether we shall be tormented at once. That's a very good question. Nobody wants to be tormented. Of course, this was way before Jesus came, of course. He answered me and said, I will show you that also. But do not be associated with those who have shown scorn, nor number yourself among those who are tormented. We pray for them. We love the sinner, not the sin. Love the sinner. Yeah, I said it right, not the sin. Pray for them. For you have a treasure of works laid up with the Most High, but it will not be shown to you until the last times. Now concerning death, the teaching is, you want to know? When the decisive decree has gone forth from the Most High that a man shall die, as the spirit leaves the body, to return again to him who gave it. First of all, it adores the glory of the Most High. We feel that love. And if it is one of those who have shown scorn and have not kept the way of the Most High, and who have despised his law, who have hated those who fear Yahuwah, such spirits shall not enter into habitations, but shall immediately wander about in torments, ever grieving and sad in 7 ways. So not everybody's in the lake of fire. That's usually reserved for liars and fornicators and murderers and really horrible people. The first way they will be tormented because they have scorned the law of the Most High, and they will realize its value and all the good things He gave them throughout their lives that they just ignored every day and focused on the negative. The second way they will be tortured because they cannot now make a good repentance that they may live. They cannot now make a good repentance that they may live. They're dead. They're in hell. The third way, they shall see the reward laid up for those who have trusted the covenants of the Most High. Amen. They'll be able to see heaven. The fourth way, they shall consider the torment laid up for themselves in the last days after the second death. The fifth way, they shall see how the habitations of the others are guarded by angels in profound rest and quiet. That alone would be torture. The sixth way, they shall see how some of them will pass over into torments. So not everybody gets tormented. The seventh way, which is worse than all the ways that have been mentioned, because they shall utterly waste away in confusion and be consumed with shame and shall wither with fear at seeing the glory of the Most High, before whom they sinned while they were alive, and before whom they are to be judged in the last times. This is heartbreaking. Now this is the order of those who have kept the ways of the Most High, when they shall be separated from their mortal body. Oh, it's exciting. I like to read the happy stuff. During that time that they lived in it, they laboriously served the Most High, withstood danger every hour. Every hour. In the books of Adam and Eve, Satan told Adam right in his face, I will not give you 1 hour of rest. Not one. That they may keep the law of the lawgiver perfectly. Therefore, this is the teaching concerning them. First of all, they shall see with great joy the glory of him who receives them. For they shall have rest in 7 orders. The first order, because they have striven with great effort to overcome the evil thought which was formed with them, that it might not lead them astray from life into death. The second order, because they see the perplexity in which the souls of the ungodly wander, and the punishment with that awaits them. So they can see us, we can see them. The third order, they see the witness which he who formed them bears concerning them, that while they were alive, they kept the law which was given them in trust. Isn't that beautiful? The fourth order, they understand the rest which they now enjoy, being gathered into their chambers and guarded by angels in profound quiet, and the glory which awaits them in the last days. The fifth order, they rejoice that they have now escaped. How do we escape? I am the way and the truth and the life. Who said that? Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. You have now escaped. Where did it go? It's right here. It's right here. Overcome the evil thought which was within them, that it might not lead them astray from life into death. They kept the law. And the fourth order, they understand the rest, guarded by angels. They rejoice that they have now escaped what is corruptible and shall inherit what is to come. All right. And besides, they see the straits and toil from which they have been delivered, and the spacious liberty which they are to receive and enjoy in what? Immortality. Immortality. They will see the straits and toil from which they have been delivered, and the spacious liberty which they are to receive and enjoy in immortality. And the sixth order, when it is shown to them, is how their face is to shine like the sun, how they are to be made like the light of the stars, being incorruptible from then on. The seventh order, which is greater than all that have been mentioned, because they shall rejoice with boldness, shall be confident without confusion, shall be glad without fear, for they hasten to behold the face of him whom they served in life. They hasten to behold the face of him whom they served in life, and from whom they are to receive their reward when glorified. This is the order of the souls of the righteous, as henceforth announced. And the aforesaid are the ways of torment, which those who would not give heed shall suffer hereafter. I answered and said, Will time therefore be given to the souls, after they have been separated from the bodies, to see what you have described to me? And he said, They shall have freedom for 7 days, so that during those 7 days they may see the things of which you have been told, and afterwards they shall be gathered into their habitations. So according to this, you have 7 days to wander and do your thing before you have to go to your appointed place. I answered and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, show further to me thy servant, whether on the day of judgment on the righteous will be able to intercede for the ungodly, or to entreat the Most High for them. Fathers for sons, or sons for parents, parents for brothers, relatives for their kinsmen, or friends for those who are most dear. And he answered me and said, Since you have found favor in my sight, I will show you this also. The day of judgment is decisive and displays to all the seal of truth. Just as now a father does not send his son, or a son his father, or a master his servant, or a friend his dearest friend, to be ill or sleep or eat or be healed in his stead, so no one shall ever pray for another on that day. That neither shall anyone lay a burden on another, for then everyone shall bear his own righteousness and unrighteousness. I answered and said, How then do we find that first Abraham prayed for the people of Sodom, and Moses for our fathers who sinned in the desert, and Joshua after him for Israel in the days of Achan, and Samuel in the days of Saul, and David for the plague, and Solomon for those in the sanctuary, and Elijah for those who received the rain, and for the one who was dead that he might live. Amein. And Hezekiah for the people in the days of Sennacherib, and many others prayed for many. And therefore the righteous have prayed for the ungodly now, daily. Amen. When corruption has increased and unrighteousness has multiplied, why will it not be so then as well? And he answered me and said, This present world is not the end. This present world. Did you hear that? Joy. This present world is not the end. The full glory does not abide in it. And therefore those who were strong prayed for the weak. This present world is not the end, and the full glory does not abide in it. Therefore those who were strong prayed for the weak. That's why we need to pray for this world every day. Even when I was in New Age, I would imagine the world in my arms and imagine it like love coming down out of the heavens and covering the world. I didn't even know Jesus. We need to pray for the world every day, now that we know who we're praying to. Verse 43, But the day of judgment will be the end of this age, and the beginning of the immortal age to come, in which corruption has passed away. Sinful indulgence has come to an end. Unbelief has been cut off, and righteousness has increased. Truth has appeared. Therefore no one will then be able to have mercy on him who has been condemned in the judgment. Therefore no one will then be able to have mercy on him or to make prayers for him who has been condemned in the judgment, or to harm him who is victorious. I answered and said, This is my first and last word, that it would have been better if the earth had not produced Adam, or else when it had produced him, it had restrained him from sinning. For what good is it to all that they live in sorrow now and expect punishment after death? What good is it to all that they live in sorrow now and expect punishment after death? Oh, Adam, what have you done? For though it was you who sinned, the fall was not yours alone, but ours also, who are your descendants. For what good is it to us if an eternal age has been promised to us, but we have done deeds that bring death? And what good is it that an everlasting hope has been promised to us, but we have been miserably failed? but we have miserably failed. Or that safe and healthful habitations have been reserved for us, but we have lived wickedly. Or that the glory of the Most High will defend those who have led a pure life, but we have walked in the most wicked ways. Or that a paradise shall be revealed, whose fruit remains unspoiled, and in which are abundance and healing, but we shall not enter it, because we have lived in unseemly places. Or that the faces of those who practice self-control shall shine more than the stars, but our faces shall be blacker than darkness. For while we lived and committed iniquity, we did not consider that we should suffer after death. He answered and said, this is the meaning of the contest which every man on earth who is born on earth shall wage. This is the meaning of the contest which every man who is born on earth shall wage. Sorry, I didn't know I was going to be on camera, or I would have worn a higher collar shirt. That if he is defeated, he shall suffer what you have said, but if he is victorious, he shall receive what I have said. For this is the way of which Moses, while he was still alive, spoke to the people, saying, choose for yourself life, that you may live. But they did not believe him, or the prophets after him, or even myself, who have spoken to them. Therefore, there shall not be grief at their destruction, so much as joy over those to whom salvation is assured. I answered and said, I know those who have not yet come into the world, and gracious, because he is gracious to those who turn in repentance to his law, and patient, because he shows patience towards those who have sinned, since they are his own works. He created us. And bountiful, because he would rather give than take away. So generous. And abundant in compassion, because he makes his compassions abound more and more, to those now living, to those now who are gone, and to those yet to come. For if he did not make them abound, the world with those who inhabit it would not have life. He is called giver, because if he did not give out of his goodness, so that those who have committed iniquities might be relieved of them, not 1/10,000th of mankind could have life. And judge, because if he did not pardon those who were created by his word, and blot out the multitude of their sins, there would probably be left only a very few of the innumerable multitude. I wouldn't have made it. Thank you, Jesus. Chapter 8, he answered me and said, the Most High made this world for the sake of many, but the world to come for the sake of few. But I tell you a parable, Ezra, just as when you ask the earth, it will tell you that it provides very much clay from which earthenware is made, but only a little dust from which gold comes. So is the course of the present world. Many have been created, but only a few shall be saved. I answered and said, then drink your fill of understanding, O my soul, and drink wisdom, O my heart. For not of your own will did you come into this world, and against your will do you depart, for you have been given only a short time to live. O Lord, who art over us, grant to thy servant that we may pray before thee and give us seed for our heart and cultivation of our understanding, so that fruit may be produced by which every mortal who bears the likeness of a human being might be able to live. And he means for eternity. For thou alone do exist. I don't know what that shadow is. I barely even have blonde eyebrows, see? Let alone one that goes across my whole face. Look at that funny shadow. Okay. I could be Groucho Marx, yeah. Okay. For thou alone do exist, and we are a work of thy hands, as thou hast declared. And because thou do give life to the body which is now fashioned in the womb, and do furnish it with members which thou hast created, is preserved in fire and water, and for 9 months the womb which thou hast formed endures thy creation which has been created in it. But that which keeps and that which is kept shall be both kept by thy keeping. I love riddles. And when the womb gives up again that which has been created in it, thou hast commanded that from the members themselves, that is, from the breasts, milk should be supplied, from which is the fruit of the breasts, so that what has been fashioned may be nourished for a time, and afterwards thou wilt guide him in thy mercy. Thou hast brought him up in thy righteousness, and instructed him in thy law, and reproved him in thy wisdom. Thou wilt take away his life, for he is thy creation, and thou wilt make him live, for he is thy work. If thou wilt suddenly and quickly destroy him who with so great labor was fashioned by thy command, to what purpose was he made? And now will I speak out and about all mankind. Thou knowest best, but I will speak about thy people for whom I am grieved, and about thy inheritance for whom I lament, and about Israel for whom I am sad, and about the seed of Jacob for whom I am troubled. Therefore I will pray for thee, for myself, and for them, and I see the failings of us who dwell in the land, and I have heard of the swiftness of the judgment that is to come. Amein.